Hi Felters and welcome. So I couldn't resist doing this one, Christmas pudding sheep. He's really sweet, he's really cute, and he's very easy to do, and he could be just a Christmas pudding if you wanted to stop halfway through. So here we are, I've done the ball, the middle bit, the core of him, straight off. It was 4 inches across, and then I'm going to select 4 lengths for the legs, and they're really simple, I'm not going to put anything in them. If you select 4 pieces the same size before you start, it's really great because they're definitely the same size. Then roll it up as tight as you can and start felting it. Now, and round off one end and leave the other end fluffy, although I do actually cut the tops off these in a bit, so I'll show you. Excuse me. Now, later on I will list a video that shows this in more detail, doing the core and doing the legs. I'm skipping it a bit because you guys have seen this, you know how to do the basics, but if it's the first time you've met me, I'll list a video at the end that will show you in more detail. Now this is the head, and the head is just a little bit bigger than the feet. So it's exactly the same procedure. There's the legs, there's the head. It's just a tiny bit chunkier. So put those aside. This is a carded merino bat from World of Wool that I'm using. It's a lovely brown colour, and because it comes in a bat, it's one big piece. So I'm using the multi-tool, and I'm just going to basically cover it all over, or wrap up the whole of the ball in this brown. I did do all of it because even though I know the top's white, but you want the white part of the Christmas pudding to stand proud of it, so I did cover it all. And this is the thing with carded wool, you fold it over and the join marks disappear. So I go all the way over with the multi-tool, and then I take a long time with a much smaller needle, and I felt the whole surface. So there's the start, and this does take me a good half an hour, but I find it quite a sort of a therapeutic session. Get a cup of tea and just go all the way around it. So there we are, it's all done. Just check it's round, give it a little roll, a little squidge. And now we're going to do the white at the top. So I took a section and I folded it over, and so you want this to be chunky, and it will give the appearance of the top of the Christmas pudding. And I'm going to do it in 5 section bits, sort of coming down around it from the top. So fold it over and then just round off either ends, either corners. So it's it looks like it's going to be sort of dropping down. Now you could do yours a bit finer, you could do them different sizes, one quite thin, one quite big, but this worked quite well. So that's how I'm going to attach it on, and then I just felt it through. I don't overly felt it, I'm just making them and putting them on to see what they look like. So I start felting it through, and that top bit, try not to get, as the more you do, try not to get too much white wool at the top of it, and then it will felt down quite nicely. So just round off the edges. Now I'm felting upwards and into it to keep it standing proud. So I'm going to do some of the other sections, and I will show you in a bit closer detail in a sec. So again, take a chunky piece, fold it over, then felt it through before you put it on, round off the corners, pop it on. And then as you go around the curve at the top, just use some of the fluffy wool you've got and make it nice and smooth and rounded. So there's 2. And here we go. So I've put them all on, and then I've spent quite a bit of time with a 40 spiral neatening up those 2 on the left hand side, and I've got all of that side to do. So I'll show you, it is standing quite proud, so it does look quite nice. And then you spend quite a bit of time going in at an angle and just making sure you keep that edge bit. So you can see me doing it all the way down there. It's quite pleasurable doing it, actually. I did quite like it as a Christmas pudding. I did think, shall I keep it like this? But I'm pleased with my sheep. And there you are, you can see the difference. I'm felting it all the way over, and we've done the 4 of them, and then we're on to the last one. So they don't have to be even. Like I said, you could do some of them quite fine. So once they're all done, you take the head, try and work out where you want it. Now I put it between the icing bits coming down because I thought that would look right, and it's easier to attach as well. And that's how we're going to put the legs underneath. So start with the head. I'm not going to be using any extra wool to attach it. Sometimes I use a scarf technique, so you've got to finely felt all the way around the base, and we will go a little bit closer and you can see, and that will keep it. So I'm going right in at the bottom there and I'm felting it, I'm just catching it. And when you're at the back, you can do quite a few really good stabs in through the back because the ears are going to cover that bit. So there we go. So that's attached. Make sure it's nice and firm. And then the next bit we're going to do are the ears. So I take a piece and I just rounded it. And then I take my multi-tool, felt it through, turn it over, felt the other side. Really, the ears are quite quick nowadays, especially with that rounded technique. It makes it so much easier. And then a finer needle and just sort of neaten them off a bit. Then we're going to squidge them in half, felt them through, and that's how we're going to attach them to the back of the head. Nice big fluffy bit there because that's all going to be felted into the top of the head. So work out how you're going to have your ears, pointing forwards, pointing down. Felt it all in, neaten it all up. This is going to, well, I'm going to put a sort of a fringe on him, so some of that will be covered up. And there we go, that's the other ear, and I'm just using all the extra fluff I left at the other side of the ear just to smooth it all over. Just check they look right, so that's good. And then the legs. Now I cut the tops off, so they literally are about 1 inch and a bit, and this makes them really neat to attach actually, because I'm attaching it direct to the brown. I'm not going to be able to use any extra to attach them. So I did them wrong to begin with. The first one was too far out, so you just to show you, just pull it off, pull all those white bits, neaten it up, and then reposition it. So you can make mistakes with felting. It's absolutely fantastic. And so I did them a little bit closer together, but still they're like the bottom of a stool, so you have to make sure that he'll stand up. So felt it right through the base, then the other one's going to go beside it and the other two behind. And again, I am trying to make these videos fairly quick for you, so I've done those. I did the eyes, I do apologise. I made a hole with the owl, or the awl, sorry, bit of glue on the back of the eye and popped it in. My other video that I'll be linking at the end will show it in more detail. So we're going to do the facial features. Normally I do these before I put the head on, but because this is the first time I did it and I hadn't planned one before, I sort of just attached the head just to see how he would look and make sure he wouldn't look silly. So you take a piece of black, twizzle it, and then hold it in place for the mouth. And then we're going to do the V and the little bit coming down from the nose. You guys know, if you've watched my videos, you know what we're making. You must be experts now, everybody. There we go. And just poke the end in. And then just make sure it's attached as it goes round. Then twizzle a bit and hold it in place, and then just felt the point of the V first so it stays in. Looks like a moustache. So go through that point bit, and then you can let go almost, and then retwizzle and do the V, because sometimes it sort of comes a bit untwizzled, doesn't it? So this is all practice. If you're not good with your faces, it's just practice, 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 and you get better with each felt. So just keep doing them. Even if you do a felt and you're not happy, do another, do another. You will get better and better. And then the straight line going down. So that's his face all done. And we're just going to attach the fringe or forelock. Oh, it's not really a forelock on a sheep. I'm going to attach it now. I do change my mind later on. So I just took a piece of fluffy carded, twisted it a bit, felted it halfway through the middle into the back of the head, and then folded it forwards, and then very lightly felted it. Just sort of finishes them off quite nicely with the sheep. So we're going to do the holly leaves. This is one I've already done. It's not particularly detailed for a holly leaf. If you've got a template, use that. It would be a lot easier. So I took some green and I started by felting it into a leaf shape. So that makes it quite easy for you. Felt it through, turn it over, always sticks to the mat, And then once you've sort of made it into a nice leaf shape, don't overly felt it. Go through the side at the top and turn it almost into a pair of lips. You're just sort of felting that bit down and it almost looks like a pair of lips. And you're going to keep those 2 bumps and then felt either side of the 2 bumps and then do that on the other side as well. You can see the one above how I've done it. And then when we put it on, we'll felt a line down the middle and it will sort of rise up and look a lot more like a leaf. So just do the same on the other side, and then with the end of it, the tip of it, just firm that up and turn that into a little bit of a point. There we go. That's 2, and you need 1 more. It's up to you how many you do. And then we're going to do the berries. So take 3 bits of red carded, the same size. If you want them the same size, you can do berries different sizes. And then this is roll it up as tight as you can. This is where you're going to stab yourself because it's like tiny felting, so be very careful. I've got a 40 spiral there that I'm using, and just felt through so it stays together, and then you should be able to turn it, and it will stay together, and then you can neaten it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be really immaculate because they're so tiny. So felt through and through, and then it will stay, and then I did 3. So I've seen a lot more, and it does look quite nice actually with sort of 5, but I think 3 and 3 is a nice number. So take the leaves. That's how we're going to do it in a minute. I thought I'd felted them then without showing you. So that's how we're going to do it. So take the first leaf, attach it at the top. Now I've put it between the icing bits so the tip goes down, and that works really well. In a minute you'll see it helps the leaves sort of curl up a bit. So attach the next one and the next one, and then I went down the middles, and you see how it sort of curves up a bit like a leaf, and I just did a line down the middle of each one, and that gives it quite nice detail. Now if you want to, you can do the bits branching out as well, but it looks like what it should be there. And then I did all 3 balls at once, just held them in position, and then just felted right through the base and through the middle. And they started to stay on. It took a little bit of felting, but it worked quite well. And there's that part. And I was like, okay, we need a tail, because he looked a little bit unbalanced. So took some fluff, twisted it, felted through the middle. So you've got a big bunch of fluff, and then gently felt it in, not overly felting it, keeping it a little bit fluffy. And when you get to a size that you're happy with, stop felting it. So that's the tail. It just balances it out a bit better. And then I wasn't happy, I wasn't sure it was finished, so I decided to do some horns. So I took some pipe cleaners, twisted them, wrapped. I wanted my horns to be in a light beige, and rolled it round. And I do horns in one of my other videos, and then I added a bit more because they needed to be a little bit more chunky, and then felted it all the way through. I just think it finishes them off a lot better with the horns. So there they are done. And then work out where the middle is. I pulled off the hair. Again, felting is fantastic. You can change your mind with things. Took some white, felted them on in place. Once that was firm enough. So I felt in front and behind the horns, and that helps them stay on. The white was the best colour because it goes with the head. Then I twisted them to see how they would look, and it's up to you how sort of curly you make them. And then I put the forelock back on. And that's him done. I was a lot happier. I thought he looked a lot more in balance. So really pleased with him. And don't worry, I'm not going to be doing a Highland cow Christmas pudding. I just don't think that would work. So there he is, all done. Thanks for watching. I have got a couple of really good videos coming up, studio tour and a day in the life of. So do subscribe so that you see them, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody, and thanks for watching.